We're back to give you the legal edge. With a new year comes new laws. So for the next several weeks, local attorney Bryan Waldman will help break down some of the new laws that take effect in 2021. And we start this evening with the Real ID law.
Well, the important thing that people need to know right now is that Real ID is a federal law that takes effect, in full effect actually, on October 1, 2021. But everyone needs to start preparing for it now because they need to go out and get their Real ID.
So it's a federal law, but what does that mean for Michigan and Michiganders?
Well, it means that if they want to fly domestically, or if people want to enter certain federal facilities, U.S. military bases, nuclear power plants, and other federal facilities, they're going to need what the law calls a Real ID.
What's the difference between the Real ID and we also know about the enhanced Michigan ID?
So a Michigan resident can actually qualify with a Real ID, or what the federal law calls a Real ID, in three ways. The first is a driver's license or identification card issued by the Secretary of State that is exactly what Michigan calls a Real ID card. It has a little gold star on it. There's also an enhanced driver's license, and a U.S. passport also works as a Real ID for purposes of entering federal facilities or flying domestically. The difference between the enhanced identification card or driver's license and a Real ID driver's license is that the enhanced ID has what's called an RFID chip, or a radio frequency identification chip. And so it allows you to do certain things like cross certain borders. If you live in the Metro Detroit area, go to Canada frequently, the enhanced ID works and will do additional things that the ordinary Real ID driver's license or ID card will not do.
And how does someone apply for or get the Michigan Real ID then?
You can make a separate appointment at the Secretary of State's office, or you can just wait until it's time to renew your driver's license and go through the procedures, get your photograph taken, and get the ID issued as a Real ID with that gold star. If you get the license printed or renewed and you don't do it as a Real ID, it's going to have words printed right on it that say not for federal identification.